Good afternoon, everyone. Let me begin by acknowledging Clifton Johnson and Shane Hefner with Black Business Directory for partnering, for their leadership here in Dallas and beyond, and for the gathering that they've helped to assemble this afternoon, this lunch and learn, as Clifton said, to pour, to reinvest. So please give Clifton and give Shane a round of applause, please. I'd be remiss if I did not also acknowledge Comerica, I believe in absentia, Irv Ashford Jr., who is the Senior Vice President of Comerica, who's been instrumental in sponsoring this Lunch and Learn series and providing all of the resources that we certainly would not be able to do this without. And I'd also be remiss if, in deference to my brother, if I did not acknowledge my brethren of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, who are kind of, who are, you know, they're everywhere, and that's a blessing. Everywhere I go, I just came from Los Angeles, met frat brothers. I'm here in Dallas today, and so it's always good to see my brothers out, and I appreciate you all for coming out and supporting me, and for supporting Clifton and his work as well. And I do want to also reinforce and encourage for those that are inclined to please post to social media. Hashtag Lunch and Learn. I'm at Randal Pinkett. I believe we're at Empower Series on social media, so please, by all means, pictures, tweets, Instagrams, Facebook posts, Facebook Live, Snapchat, Periscope. I mean, whatever your social media flavor of the day is, roll with it. And then last, let's give the food a round of applause because they put their foot in it. Put the foot in it. I'm feeling real good and I might get real sleepy soon. So let me jump into my remarks and use the time that I have. So I want to focus this morning on, this afternoon, on one of the foundational strategies for the book that is back there, Black Faces in White Places. And to write the book, I interviewed dozens of accomplished African Americans. I interviewed executives in corporate America, entrepreneurs, clergymen and women, nonprofit executive directors, principals of schools. I mean, I went into every single industry to try to understand what have been the strategies that we've used to navigate environments where we are underrepresented and get to the higher levels of these industries without losing a sense of who we are. And so that translated into what we call the 10 game-changing strategies, which is the subtitle of the book. And I want to talk about one of those strategies that we consider to be the foundation of the book, which is this idea around excellence and what it means to be excellent. And this is a message not just for the grown folk, but for anyone here who has a young person in their life, be it a mentee, a protege, a son, a daughter, a granddaughter, a grandson, a little cousin, or a little brother or sister. I hope this message will not only bless you, but bless the young people that you come in contact with as you help them to become excellent. And so my title for my remarks is the following: One game, two rules, one choice. Demonstrate excellence. One game, two rules, one choice. Demonstrate excellence. Now, for any discussion about excellence, particularly amongst Black people, there's a question that looms over our heads like a cloud on a rainy day. It causes you to be pensive and maybe even cringe like you're watching an episode of Real Housewives or Basketball Wives. It lingers in your mind like that feeling you had in the waning hours of election night when you didn't quite know which way it was going, but it didn't feel good. You know the feeling I'm talking about? All right. And the question is the following: how closely does my school, how closely does my workplace, how closely does society resemble a meritocracy? Meaning, an environment where if you work hard, you will be rewarded. That's the question. That if I work hard, if I play by the rules, if I do what I'm supposed to do, will I be rewarded? It's a question that kind of looms over your head if you want to have a conversation about excellence. And so, it's a difficult question to answer because the answer depends on the game you're playing, what game you're in, whether you're in education or business or entrepreneurship or corporate America or the arts. And let's look at two extremes. Let's say that the game you're playing is professional sports. You're an athlete. I would argue that if you are in the game of professional sports, you are reasonably close to a meritocracy. If you work hard, you'll be rewarded. You know, if you put in the hours and the time and you put in all of the things that it takes to be good at your professional sports career, you'll likely make it through college or to the professional world if you've got the gift of being a professional athlete. By comparison, let's think of another game. If you're in the game of politics, I would argue it's the complete opposite. That in the game of politics, if you work hard and play by the rules, you are not guaranteed to be rewarded. You are not guaranteed to get ahead. In fact, under certain circumstances, you may find the opposite to be true. Work hard and play by all the rules in politics, you might get trampled. That's real. That's real. So the challenge is that most of us, whether we are athletes or politicians, students or professionals, is that we find ourselves somewhere in between these two extremes. And the challenge is figuring out where do you lie along those two continuums. To the extent that your game, my game, any game is close to a meritocracy is very circumstantial. And we've been told over the years that we have to be twice as good, work twice as hard, overcome twice as many obstacles just to be considered equal or to get ahead, and that being good is not enough. But I would argue that that is perhaps sound advice for being excellent in the 20th century. But in the 21st century, to be a game changer, if you really break it down, what we really mean to say is that there is one game, but there are two sets of rules. And in order to be successful in your game, you must master the rules that apply to you, which may be different than the rules that apply to everybody else. In other words, to be a game changer, it's not enough to work twice as hard. We must think twice as smart. Think twice as smart. That's the challenge and the opportunity before us in the 21st century. So I want to tell a quick story that I don't tell very often. In fact, it's very rare that I tell the story, not because I have any issues with the story, but it isn't always relevant to the topics at hand, but it's very relevant to this topic. And the story I want to tell is my finale from The Apprentice. My finale, the final episode of The Apprentice. Now, if you haven't seen The Apprentice, you've certainly heard about it, particularly over the past year you heard about it. It's a reality television show where in its original format, it brought 18 unknown businessmen and women together to compete for the opportunity to run one of Donald Trump's companies. There were 1 million people who applied to be on the show when I applied. There were 18 people who were chosen. I was one of those 18. Every week, we're given a task, split into 2 teams, originally 9 and 9. You get a business task, sell lemonade, sell perfume, design a fitness course. There's a winning team and a losing team. The winning team gets a reward. The losing team goes into the boardroom where somebody gets fired and eliminated. 18 people down to the final 2. Lincoln Center, live, New York City, live television, 14 million people. It came down to me and my adversary squaring off to decide for Trump to determine who would be the apprentice, who would work and run one of his companies. Now, let's be clear, I worked hard. It was 13 weeks of task after task, no sleep, very little food, lost weight, didn't take good care of myself, made it down to the final 2. I played by the rules. The rules were that each week we had assigned a project manager to each team. I had an undefeated record as a project manager, 3-0. For the teams that I was on, my team record was 7-4. I had the best team record and the only undefeated record of any project manager on the show. I expected to get ahead. Having worked hard, having played by the rules, I expected to make it to the finals. I expected that I would be named the winner. Because without being inobjective, I felt like I was the clear and decisive victor in this competition. Final moments of the show, final moments of the decision, Donald Trump turned to me and said, "Randal, you're hired. You're the apprentice." I jumped up out my seat. I high-fived the other members of the cast. I'm bumping chests. I got on my good suit. I'm pointing to the camera. I got my pose. Donald Trump pounded the table, said, "Randal, come back. I got a question I want to ask you." The question he asked me in front of 14 million people, live TV, Lincoln Center, New York City, was, "Do you want to share the title with the runner-up?" Look at that face right there. That's the same face I had. She said, "Do you want to share the title?" Now, I'm going to ask you the question. What would you have done? Split second decision, live television, 14 million people, Lincoln Center, New York City. What would you have done? Think about that. Think about how you would have responded under those circumstances. I'm going to tell you my experience. I will tell you what I did at the end of my remarks, for those that didn't see the show. Keep you on your, some of y'all know, some of y'all don't. All right, well, I'm going to tell you. But my experience exemplifies a frustrating and sobering reality of the 21st century ever-changing game. That American society tells us that we will be rewarded for being the best. And when we are the best, another set of rules seems to apply based on nepotism, cronyism, racism, sexism, some other arbitrary criteria. Quote from Alfred Edmond, who was editor-in-chief of Black Enterprise, who said the following: "The difference between what happened to Pinkett and what happens to African Americans all the time at work said it happened to him in front of millions of people." That being said, you might think I'm discouraged about the power of excellence. Like if I came to the show excellent, performed excellently, and was then asked the insulting question of, do you want to share the title? You might think that I am a detractor of excellence, but I am not. And the reason why I am the biggest proponent of excellence is because I recognize the fact that I am playing in one game with two rules, but I also know there is a difference between meritocracy and excellence. They are two different things. Meritocracy depends on whether society rewards me. Excellence decides whether I reward myself. Independent of whether society rewards me, it doesn't matter. Meritocracy is beyond my control. Excellence is within my control. Meritocracy is reactive. Excellence is proactive. Meritocracy focuses my energy on others and what they might do to me. Excellence focuses my energy on what I must do for myself. And so I desire, you are determined, we as a people are destined to be excellent. And let's be clear, excellence is not a solution to racism. It is the best counter strategy to racism, is to be excellent at what you do. It's hard to be denied when you're excellent. Obstacles are mitigated, not eliminated, but mitigated when you're excellent. And some people will look right past their prejudices, their biases, their stereotypes, if you're excellent at what you do. So what is excellence? Excellence means to be extremely good, to be your very best. It means being at the top of your game, bringing your A game. A few principles about excellence, just so we're clear on what I'm talking about. Excellence is not about being the best. It's about being your best. Taking full advantage of the abilities that have been bestowed upon you. The great quote, life is God's gift to you. What you do with your life is your gift back to God. Second, the pursuit of excellence is not the pursuit of perfection. Another great quote, the pursuit of excellence is gratifying and healthy. The pursuit of perfection is frustrating, neurotic, and a terrible waste of time because you can't get there. You'll never make it. Third, excellence is doing your very best regardless of the nature of the work and regardless of who's watching. That you have a high standard to which you hold yourself accountable for, independent of whether you're held by others. And then lastly, in the words of Booker T. Washington, excellence involves doing common everyday things, but in very uncommon ways. I believe there are 4 conditions based on the interviews that set the stage for being excellent. And those 4 conditions are like a diamond. You can think of them as being 4 facets of a diamond. The first facet is passion. The second facet are gifts. The third facet is discipline. And the last facet is faith. Passion, gifts, discipline, and faith. Let me break those down, each of those facets, and then do what my grandmother told me. Stand up, speak up, sit down, and shut up. The first facet is passion. What's passion? The things you're naturally drawn to do. Here's some questions to answer for your passion. What are the things that you just love to do? What would you do if you didn't get paid? I've spoken to some young people, say, what would you do if you didn't get paid? They're like, nothing, dude. I'm like, you're missing my point. What are the things you were naturally drawn to as a child? What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What one thing have you dreamed of doing you've never told anyone? And here's my favorite. What would you regret not having done if your life ended today? Somewhere in the answer to those questions is your passion, the things you're naturally drawn to do. I used to have a pickup line back in college, and it never worked. But I used to walk by a young lady, and I would say, and then I would walk by, I would double back, I'd say, do you believe in love at first sight? Or should I walk by you again? It didn't work, though. It didn't work. But the point is, passion is love at first sight. Once you see it, you know it's what you love to do. It's like you're naturally drawn to it. It gets you excited just because of the work that you're doing. So, the second part around passion is that this suggests to me that if there is no passion for what you do, then there's no point. There's no passion, there's no pursuit, there's no passion, there's no purpose. Passion has to be the guiding light for how you think about your personal and professional trajectory. Or in the words of the great philosopher and scholar, Nicki Minaj, Nicki said, to live doesn't mean you're alive. Yeah, she got deep. See, Nicki got deep. You didn't know she could get deep. Yeah, to live doesn't mean you're alive. Passion keeps us alive. Second facet, gifts. What are gifts? If passion are the things you're naturally drawn to do, gifts are the things you're naturally able to do. We're all blessed with gifts, and not a gift, but multiple gifts. Let me quickly run down this for you. There's a theory out of Harvard University. Perhaps you've heard of it, educators, the theory of multiple intelligences. Has anyone heard of this theory? It's a theory that we're all gifted with multiple abilities, and intelligence is an ability. And that if you think about the totality of those intelligences, you begin to see the entire spectrum of the things that we can be gifted to bring to the world. Let me break down for you the forms of intelligence that the argument makes. First form of intelligence, bear with me here, is linguistic intelligence, also called being word smart. The intelligence of words. People who are gifted in this area can argue, persuade, entertain, and instruct effectively through the spoken word. They read a lot, they write clearly, they communicate through print. Journalists, storytellers, poets, and lawyers. Who believes that they have the gift of linguistic intelligence? Show of hands. Work with me here. You're in my classroom now. Poetry, no doubt. Second, logical mathematical intelligence, also called being number smart. The intelligence of numbers and logic. People gifted here have the ability to reason, sequence, think in terms of cause and effect, create hypotheses, see numerical patterns. Scientists, accountants, computer programmers. Who? Show of hands. Okay, you can give me a half hand. It's like maybe a little bit. All right. Third, spatial intelligence. These get better and better. Called visual smart. The intelligence of pictures and images, right? Have an acute sensitivity to visual detail, can visualize vividly, draw or sketch their ideas graphically, orient themselves in a three-dimensional space. Architects, photographers, artists, pilots, mechanical engineers. Who? It's not me, but I'm raising my hand anyway. It's not me. All right. Fourth, musical intelligence. It's my daughter. Music smart. The intelligence to perceive, appreciate, and produce rhythms and melodies. These folks are gifted in having a good ear, can sing in tune, keep in time to music, listen to musical selections with a degree of interpretation. Musical artists, composers, songwriters. Not me. Anybody in here? Okay. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Fifth, I got just a few more. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence, called body smart. Break this down. The intelligence of the physical self can control one's body movements and handle objects skillfully. Athletes, craftspeople, mechanics, actors, actresses, surgeons, sewers, carpenters, model builders, hikers, dancers, campers, swimmers, boaters. That's me. Anybody else? I was a track and field athlete in college. All right. 6, I got 7 here. 6, this is mind-blowing. So number 6, get this. Interpersonal intelligence. People smart. People who understand other people. Are you with me on this? A capacity to perceive and be responsive to the moods, temperaments, and desires of others. The ability to get in the skin of somebody else and see the world through their perspective. Social director of a cruise. Corporate executive, social worker, educators. Who? All right. Lastly, intrapersonal intelligence. Self-smart. Now that's deep. That's deep. The intelligence of the inner self can easily access his or her own feelings, discriminate between many different inner emotional states, and use his or her self-understanding to enrich and guide their lives. Therapists, counselors, theologians, self-employed business people. Who? Okay. The theory went on to establish 2 other forms of intelligence, the naturalist, nature smart, and existential, spiritual smart. But the argument that was made was that schools only cater to 2 of these intelligences, language and math. That's it. Everything else is considered extracurricular or beyond curricular. The second argument of the multiple intelligences theory is that, believe it or not, the majority of people are good at 3 or more of these intelligences. 3 or more. And so demonstrating excellence means finding the intersection between your passion, what you are naturally drawn to do, and your gifts, what you're naturally able to do. To be very specific, I have yet to go to a school or a church that has a chorus or a choir, doesn't have at least one person who is passionate about singing, but not gifted in singing. Right? And if you're out there thinking, not my school, not my church, then it must be you. Can't carry a note with a handle, and why does that person always get the solo? They get the solo. I mean, that's this to me. So the point is, Passion and gifts come naturally. Let me break it down to the last two. What the time I got. Okay, third facet. First one, passion. Second one, gifts. Third, discipline. Discipline. What is discipline? It is good old-fashioned, don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, hard work. It's that simple. It is the work, the energy, the labor, the effort, the determination, the sweat equity, putting it in, putting it down, putting it around to perfect your passions and your gifts. Good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who work. Tweet that. Success is not where opportunity meets luck. It's where opportunity meets preparation. And how do you make sure you're prepared? You work hard to be prepared for when the opportunity comes. And let me be clear. I told this to the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy students this morning. Hard work is not a skill. Hard work is a choice. It's a choice. You choose to work hard. You choose to sit and study. You choose to not go to the party. You choose to work on your business. You choose to work on your relationships. Hard work is a choice, not a skill. It's not even rocket science. You choose it or you don't. It's that simple. And so we are what we repeatedly do. These are the words of Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act. Excellence is a habit. Excellence is a habit. You develop the habit through discipline and hard work. To do that, we must maintain a healthy acceptance of failing as the only way to be excellent. That you cannot become excellent at what you do by not trial and error, trying it over and over and learning it over and trying it and again and iteration and falling down and getting up, and the list goes on and on and on. I'll give you two quick examples. How many of you know WD-40, the lubricant? Who knows the story of WD-40? By a show of hands. Okay, no one. So WD-40 was founded by 3 individuals who wanted to create the ultimate lubricant. And the way you do that is by displacing water, because when water is present, it forms rust. If you displace the water, there's no opportunity for rust. It maintains lubrication. WD-40 stands for water displacement perfected on the 40th try. It took them 40 attempts to get the signature formula right. 40 attempts. It gets better. Who's heard of Formula 409? Show of hands. You see where I'm going, right? Formula 409 was founded by 2 scientists in Detroit who wanted to create the ultimate cleaning agent. Only when they had created the 409th formula did they finally get it right. 409, folks. I'd have given up on the 10th try. I'd have thrown in the towel on the 408th try. What does that say? If you want to be excellent, don't let a setback hold you back, because a setback is a setup for a comeback. There's no pain, there's no gain. No struggle, no progress. No risk, no reward. No test, no testimony. No trial, no triumph. No problems, no power. No disappointment, no discipline, which means sometimes you have to go through in order to grow through, which means there's nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't believe, then don't bother. So go hard or go home, because failure isn't falling down. Failure is staying down. Preach, Dr. Pinkett, with your 3-piece suit. That's discipline. Let's close it out. Last facet, passion, gifts, discipline. I hope you see where I'm going, folks. You got to bring all this together. You got to have passion. You got to have the gifts. You got to have the discipline, and you have to have the faith if you want to be excellent, if our young people want to be excellent, if our communities are to be excellent. So what do we mean by faith? There's this idea of empowering beliefs. That's like a more academic word for faith, empowering beliefs. The most empowering belief, I believe, is that of faith. That it is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Faith is what enables you to produce excellence in the absence of evidence that suggested it was even possible in the first place. Passion, gifts, and discipline, stick with me, without faith, is like entering college but not believing you can graduate. Passion, gifts, and discipline is like writing a great business plan but never launching the business. Passion, gifts, and discipline without faith is like applying for a 501c3 nonprofit but never actualizing the nonprofit organization. It's like entering corporate America but not believing you can reach the C-suite. Without faith, if faith without works is dead, then the converse is also true. Works without faith is also dead. And so it's been said about faith, my favorite quote: when you come to the edge of all the light you know and are about to step off into the darkness of the unknown. Faith is knowing that one of two things will happen. Either there'll be something solid to stand on, or you'll be taught how to fly. The unfaithful say, I will believe it when I see it. The faithful say, I will see it because I believe it. So the intersection of passion and gifts is the distinguishing factor of excellence. Discipline is the driving factor of excellence, and faith is the determining factor of excellence. That is, you cannot achieve excellence without a measure of faith. These are the four facets which are paramount to being a game changer in the 21st century. As I close up my remarks, excellence is clearly powerful for what it can do for you as an individual, right? That it can make you the best that you can be. It can help you to stand out above others. It can help you to maximize God's potential. By demonstrating excellence, though, you're not just helping yourself. By demonstrating excellence, you're also helping others. You are not only establishing a new standard for yourself, you are establishing a new standard for others, and you are redefining the game. Think about how Jackie Robinson established a new standard of excellence and redefined the game of Major League Baseball by demonstrating excellence. Think about that. Think about how Oprah Winfrey and Kathy Hughes have established a new standard and redefined the game of media by demonstrating excellence. Think about how Denzel Washington and Viola Davis in acting, Simone Biles in gymnastics, Ken Chenault and Ursula Burns in corporate America, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama in politics, how they have established new standards for our country, for our world, for our globe by demonstrating excellence. Excellence, therefore, is not just mandatory, not just strategic, it is radical. It's revolutionary. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Similarly, your excellence can speak so loudly, people won't even care what you're saying. And so excellence is the means by which we become game changers, shatter stereotypes. And let's say this, excellence is not only the means by which we change the game. Let's be clear, mediocrity does not do that. Only excellence changes the game. Excellence is the means by which we raise expectations for ourselves and for our people, but mediocrity does not do that. Only excellence can do that. And excellence is the means by which we uphold the sacrifices others have made for our behalf. Rosa didn't stand. Martin didn't march. Others didn't sacrifice so we could be average. They sacrificed and passed the baton one to the other so we could be excellent at what we do. That's why they toiled. Mediocrity does not honor that sacrifice. Only excellence honors that sacrifice. And it is that very premise, that very thought of excellence being revolutionary that loomed over my head like a cloud on a rainy day, that made me cringe like I'm watching an episode of Real Housewives or Basketball Wives. It lingered in the back of my mind like those waning hours of election night when I didn't know which way it was going, but it didn't look good. As I walked onto the stage for the finale of season 4 of The Apprentice. Let's be clear, at risk of being redundant. I was competing in a game, a reality television game, but a game nonetheless. I worked hard, I played by the rules, I expected to get ahead, I expected to be rewarded, and yet and still I was asked, Randal, do you want to share the title with the runner-up? So what did I do? I looked Donald Trump in the eye, and I confidently replied, Donald, this is not The Apprentice. I'm sorry, this is The Apprentice and not The Apprentice. If you're going to hire anyone tonight, it's going to be one person and one person only, which means you're going to hire me. He looked at me and said, Randal, is that how you think it should go? I said, exactly how I think it should go. And then after that decision was made, because he decided to only hire me as his apprentice, the questions kept coming out, well, why didn't Randal share? Why didn't he share? Why wasn't he magnanimous? Why didn't he offer the olive branch to the competitor? And my response to that question then is my response to the question now. What message would it have sent to our young people, to my kids, to my grandchildren, if when put in the position to earn the victory that I earned, to not claim the victory? So my message to young people as I talk about that finale is, when you've worked hard, when you've played by the rules, when you know that you have done all of what you're supposed to do, when you have earned the victory, do not be afraid to claim the victory, and I claim that victory. I claim that victory. And I'm going to give you a quick side story, because I got to wrap up. But if Donald had insisted that there were 2 winners, my scripted response, verbatim, was if you can't see that I'm the clear and decisive winner, Donald, then guess what? I quit, you're fired. Woo! Woo! I wish he had said it too. Excellence was not a solution to racism, but it was the best counter strategy. It only made his attempt to make me share that much more clear of what was really driving the decision. And so by refusing to share the title, I conveyed hopefully what I believe is a powerful message to 14 million people and beyond. But take it or leave it, like it or lump it, accept it or neglect it. Ladies and gentlemen, there's one game. There are two rules, which leaves us with only one choice, my brothers and my sisters. If you want to be a game changer, that choice is demonstrate excellence. God bless you and thank you for having me.
You want to take any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Yeah. Jump right in.
Who was the runner-up?
The runner-up was a white woman journalist named Rebecca Jarvis. She was, I think, 24 at the time. She had worked as a local reporter in Chicago. She subsequently took a job with MSNBC, and now she is on air on ABC's morning show, Good Morning America. She does correspondent for Good Morning America. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Randall, there may be semantics, but I heard a speech by Les Brown once, and he followed the author of the book In Search of Excellence. And he said, how do I follow this person who's been talking about excellence all this time? And so he came up with this title. It says, since greatness is possible, being excellent is not good enough. He said, Muhammad Ali was a great fighter. So-and-so was great. So-and-so was great. They weren't just excellent. How do you respond to, I mean, is it semantics or is there a distinction?
So, from my definitional perspective, and mine might be different than Les's, and I know Les, he's a good friend. It is semantics to me, but let me tell you why. I have different definitions. That's probably, and you know, so my definition of excellence is what you heard: passion, gifts, discipline, faith. My definition of success is what you do for yourself. Very simple definition. You know, Harriet Tubman died broke, so most wouldn't say she was successful by societal standards. My definition of greatness is what you do for somebody else. Now, the Bible says you'll be great if you serve. Those who are great are those who serve. So that's the tradition that I'm coming from on greatness, which is success is what you do for yourself, greatness others. So by my standard, Harriet Tubman was great. She wasn't successful. She didn't make a lot of money. She wasn't, you know, wealthy, but she was great because she served. And Dr. King said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. To Dr. King's words. So that's my definitional stance. So I would say greatness is on a different trajectory than how Les might define it. He's comparing excellence to greatness. I'm on a different angle. Greatness is here, success is here.
Dr. Pinkett, you've shared a lot. My question is, how do you manage time? You're busy. I've heard part of your schedule. Then I'm wondering, how does he get it all in?
So I got two answers to that, well, maybe three. First is I'm still trying to figure it out. That's number one. Number two, very simple, priorities. You got to set priorities, and you have to align your time to those priorities. So for me, it's family. You know, it's faith. You know, you can be a public success and a private failure. And so I got to make sure that I'm disciplining my time, especially when my kids are still school age, that I'm present, that I'm there, that they're not seeing me more on TV than they're seeing me while we're watching TV. So it's the priorities, and then I'll disclose this, just so you know, I'm able to get by with very little sleep. I get like 5 hours a night, and there's studies who have found there are people who can live on little sleep. I believe I'm one of those people. So my days are long. Like I got a lot of time to get a lot done, and that ends up working to my benefit. So I got my family time while it's light outside, and then when it's dark, there's nighttime, I can get the work done I didn't get done because I was at the recital, I was at the soccer game, I was at the basketball competition, so that gives me a little extra flex than others.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Yes.
A couple of reality shows where, The Survivor and Big Brother, and you kept using the word game changer. The name of the Survivor series this year is Game Changer. But their rules are to lie, cheat, deceive, undercut, and the people who do that the most become the winners of those games. You think that you could have participated in such, series just as you did with The Apprentice?
So it's an interesting question.
And it's usually the main rule is to do all those negative things.
Right. So, did you see my season of The Apprentice?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, I came into the show with a couple of guiding principles. Among them was I wanted to treat people the way I would want to be treated. And so I flipped the script on what could be interpreted as the stereotypical reality television show approach. So when somebody was project manager, I worked hard for them. I had their back. And then when I was project manager, they had my back. And so I was able to build relationships, build trust, and not in a contrived way, but in a very real way. Like people trusted me. And I was there to look out for them at the same time. Some shows you can succeed by stabbing people in the back, so I'm not going to discount that. My experience on the show both proved to me and hopefully proved to others that that's not the only way. And it says the following. And I've had this conversation with Donald when I was working for him, because Donald's philosophy in business was I have to step down on others in order for me to step up. And I said to Donald, you know that we can both make the pie bigger. That it's not a zero-sum game. Like more for me has to be less for you. No, we can both have more together. So what I tried to show in my experience on the show was that you can not only treat people with respect and win, but that as important of the product of success is the process. And you have to live with the process. And something you can be proud of. So I'm like, I can't be proud stepping on others. That's not how I do business. And that's the message I try to bring to young people at the same time. Yes, we'll go over there. No, thank you. We'll go over there and back over there, yes.
First off, thank you for being an inspiration for me. Remember sitting in front of the TV watching your season.
How old were you?
But when was the season? What year?
12 years ago.
12, I'm 24, so.
They let you stay up past bedtime?
We watch the show religiously. I always wanted to compete on the show, but then seeing yours definitely opened my eyes a lot.
Fair.
And followed you ever since. But
Thank you,
for
brother.
me now, I have aspirations to help others own my own business and helping others start theirs.
Good.
So what advice would you give me as far as seeking a mentorship or getting rid of fear in starting that company?
All right, so first thing you do is you get the book on the right over there.
I'm
All right, no, you just gave me a perfect segue, right? You just set me up. Campus CEO was my first book, which was designed for aspiring entrepreneurs. So if you have a young person in your life, you want them to be entrepreneurial, that's the book for you. My best advice is twofold, quickly. One is do not go it alone. The perception of entrepreneurial success is the individual. Oprah, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Oprah had a guy named Jeff Jacobs on her team. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak. Bill Gates had Paul Allen. Randal Pinkett, Jeff Robinson, Dallas Grundy, Lawrence Hibbert. I got 4 folks on my team. There's no way, we just had this conversation, didn't we? That I could have made it without having the camaraderie, the support, the team as part of my effort. So don't go it alone. Second is don't just find good people that complement you, that you have a good fit with. Being in business is second only to being married. It's legal, it's financial, you see them every day, you don't like them, you gotta look at them, you know? Like it's like being married. So you wanna pick and choose wisely and build that relationship like you would any other relationship, knowing that you can do more together than you can ever do apart. So do not go it alone, but pick the team wisely that complements one another. And I've been blessed to have a great team. Great team. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's kind of a full question. So what of all the lessons that you learned working with Donald Trump and his organization, what lesson has paid the most dividends for you in business? And is he really that shit crazy?
So the second question is the easiest to answer. Yes. You know, and I don't know how many of you know, but Last year, I organized a press conference with other Apprentice contestants collectively and publicly denouncing Donald. And some folks were afraid to do it. Afraid of reprisal, afraid of him throwing back. And I'll tell you a quick story. So before Donald ran for president, he said, somebody called him a racist. His response was, how can I be racist? I hired Randal. It's like the I got one black friend argument, right? He said, and he's done a great job for me. He's done a great job for me. That was the quote. You can find it online. And I did a press conference where I denounced him. I said, I think he's unfit. I think he's too temperamental. I think our country will be in ruin. Of course, that's all right. He fires back and says, Randal is a loser and did a terrible job for me. You gotta love this, right? Whatever. So what did I learn that was most valuable? I could go on and on because most of what I learned was what not to do. Correct. I learned a lot of what, and I was 12 years my junior than I am now. I was much less experienced, much less traveled, much less exposed to business. So I was coming in bright-eyed and open-minded, like, okay, this is how to learn about big business. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. So what did I take away that was positive? I came in already having run a multi-million-dollar company. I was doing reasonably good. But coming to a multi-billion-dollar company, I had this myth that it's somehow more sophisticated, more elaborate, more different, that there's something else that I'm missing to be able to run a multi-billion-dollar company. And I came in, I'm an executive in the Trump organization. I'm at the executive table. I have an executive office. I'm in the meetings. I'm having strategy. I'm like, you know what? This is not that different. This is what we do back at BCT Partners. That's my firm, BCT Partners. What we do. Now, they got more zeros on their budgets than I do. But the principles of business, I'm like, I could do this. So I walked away saying, set your sights higher on what you can accomplish. Don't go for just multi-million. You can do multi-billion. And if I'm lucky, I'll get so big, I'll buy his company and I will fire him. Where's the camera? I won't.
Talk to us about your partnership, BCT Partnership. What is it?
Yes.
What do you do? And tell us what you do in your growth.
Yeah, no, good question. So I have 3 partners. We all studied engineering in college. We're all technologists. BCT today is a consulting firm that specializes in technology and data analytics. So we apply data science, data algorithms, data management, and we help our customers make sense of what is becoming the growing volume of data that's being generated in our lives. I mean, we're generating data right now. Your phones are generating data. You go out and use your credit card, there's data. Use your loyalty card, there's data. You have your Fitbit that's generating data. There's just data upon data upon data. Our mission at BCT Partners now is to provide insights about diverse people that lead to equity. What does that mean? It means that we're helping our customers not only analyze complicated data sets, but we do that to help them better understand diverse markets, diverse customers, diverse communities, diverse people, that they can better serve those same stakeholders. So it involves technology, it involves data science, it involves consulting, it involves other kind of social science perspectives that we bring, but it's a very multidisciplinary company that provides multidisciplinary solutions. Work with federal government primarily and Fortune 500s.
Did you just get a big contract?
So 4 years ago, we got a $1 billion contract with the federal government to provide technology solutions that can promote better delivery of healthcare. It was with the National Institutes of Health, NIH.
Trump know you got it?
What's that?
Trump know you got the contract?
I sent him a tweet. And I sent it at 3 a.m., make sure he got it.
Randal, I have a question. I work in SAP.
Know it well.
What software do you guys develop your own software for your clients in order to get those analytics and data?
Right, so we're using mostly data analytic platforms, so it may be Oracle.
Okay.
We've done some work with SAP.
Okay.
We've done some work on some smaller solutions that aren't as enterprise as, say, an SAP. And we do a lot of systems integration.
Okay.
You know, we're integrating a lot of disparate data sets and creating, you know, extract, transform, and load feeds to get data into a data warehouse and then put it into a cube and then analyze it and then generate reports. So lots of tools that are built in there. But ERP is one of them. Enterprise Resource Planning is one of them.